Hello everyone, week 2 part 3. Functions in C++. With modular programming, we break a program up into smaller manageable functions or modules. The motivation for module programming is it improves maintainability of programs and it simplifies the process of writing programs. On the other hand, function is a collection of statements to perform a task. Furthermore, in the program, you see here in the program on the left, you have one complex function that contains all of the statements necessary to solve a particular problem. So this slide illustrates what we tried to define on slide 1. So as you see on the left side, you have one complex function that contains all of the statement necessary to solve one particular problem. However, in a program on the right, you can see that the problem has been divided into smaller problems, each of which is handled by a separate function. So again, a function call is a statement that causes a function to execute. Function, on the other hand, is made up of statements that make up a function. So a function is made up of several statements. Definition of function could include return type, name, parameter list, and body. So these all made up with the function. With the return type is where the data type of the value the function returns to the part of the program that called it, such as a string value, integer value, double, float, and so on. Name is name of the function. Function names follow same rules as variables. Parameter lists are variables containing values passed to the function, and function can have multiple parameters. So you could have 1 or 0, 1 or many. The body of the functions is made up of statements that perform the function's task, and they all have to be enclosed in braces. So every function after the function name starts with braces at the beginning, and then at the end after the return value you have to close the braces. On this slide you can see what a function is made up of. You have the return type, the function name. The return type is integer, as you can see, type int. The function name is main. The parameter list, in this case this one is empty, there is no parameters. If there was a parameters, it will be included in the parentheses. And the function body. Please note that the line that reads int main is the function header. Function return type. If a function returns a value, the type of the value must be indicated, like int in int main. So in this case, the return value of the function is integer. The main function returns a value of type int. The value type that this function returns is integer, like we said. So if a function does not return a value, its return type is void. So if you have a function, like in this case print heading, that does not return a value, you have to put a void in front of it. Calling a function. The function call is made up of the function name followed by parentheses and semicolon. When the function gets called, the program executes the body first. After the function terminates, the execution resumes in the calling function at the point of call. Remember that C++ program always begin its executions by the main function. Main can call any number of functions, and functions can call other functions. So it starts with main, then main call other functions, those functions that call other functions as well. So the compiler must know the following about a function before it's called. It must know the name, the return type, the number of parameters, and the data type of each parameter. Sending data into a function. Can pass values into a function at time of call. For example, c equal power of a comma b. And these values are passed to a function are called arguments. So a and b are arguments. Variables and functions that hold the values passed as arguments are parameters. So they could be called arguments or parameters. In this code, the integer variable num is a parameter. This parameter accepts any integer value passed to the function. Remember that a parameter can also be called a formal parameter or formal argument. And an argument can also be called an actual parameter or an actual argument. Functions in a program. In order to examine this code on a screen, first of all, remember that we said in slide 6 how a C++ program always begin its executions by the main function. This program also demonstrates a function with a parameter which we mentioned in the previous slides. So we begin in main. We can also see how the main function begins by declaring the variable z of type int. Right after that, we see a call to a function called addition. Paying attention, we will be able to see the similarities between the structure of the call to the function and the declaration of the function itself. So as you can see, int addition function that has two return values or parameters, int a and b, and the function called z equal addition to values 5 and 3. So the parameters and arguments have a clear correspondence. Within the main function, we called to addition passing two values 5 and 3 that correspond to the int a and int b parameters declared for function addition. At the point at which the function is called from within main, the control is lost by main and passed to function additions. The value of both arguments passed in the call 5 and 3 are copied to the local variables int a and int b within the function. Function addition declares another local variable int r, and by means of the expressions r equal a plus b, it assigns to r the results of a plus b, because the actual parameters passed for a and b are 5 and 3 respectively. So the result is a. Finally, the line of code where it says return r, so the output, the program output, as we said, will be 8. Pass by value. When an argument is passed to a function, its value is copied into the parameter. Changes to the parameter and the function do not affect the value of the argument. In this example, even or odd can change variable num, but it will have no effect on variable val.